Hey everyone, welcome to Learn to Write Sci-Fi. I am your host, Rick Graham, author of the Revelations universe. Now today we're going to be talking about dialogue. Hopefully by now you've been working on, if you followed us through the other videos, you've been working on your outline and everything. Now you're hopefully just now starting to write, and we're going to talk a little bit about dialogue. Now I'm not going to go into a great deal of depth because one, this video would be very long. Two, there's a lot of really good resources out there. Now, for myself, I know it might sound kind of weird, but I use, movies and television a lot for my analogies and in my examples, and that's probably in part because I've been doing video production for so long, and at one point I actually wanted to write screenplays and, get into movies. So my brain kind of thinks like that. And, and a lot of people in the US anyway are very visual. Reading is on the decline, but I think that reading can be lifted back up if done properly. And, that's one thing I want to do with this series is helping more self-published authors get out there, because, if you're out there pushing books and everybody else is out there, then hopefully more people would start reading, because reading is a fantastic way, even just for entertainment, beyond the learning and education capabilities of all the nonfiction fields, right? So for dialogue, I would say personally, when it comes, at least in my mind, when it comes to movies, for examples of me to learn and to apply to my own writing in a way, Quentin Tarantino is hands down, in my opinion, just one person's opinion, is one of the best people at writing dialogue ever. It's incredible because you'll be watching a scene in one of his movies, and I don't even like all of his movies, but the dialogue, the way that it connects together, and the way you learn so much about the character, the way that they can be talking about like everyday stuff, but it feels like it's adding a tremendous amount of depth to the characters on screen. Just get rid of the visual components, just listen to it. And I feel that conversational dialogue, natural dialogue, is one, it's a little difficult to do, and two, it's the best though. So like when I'm writing, I try to think of, okay, like how would the conversations kind of go? And I kind of want the characters to be their own. And, one thing you never want to do with dialogue is you never want to force it. So if there's a scene where, if, let's say you're writing and you're like, okay, I need them to definitely point this one thing out. If they point it out to the point, or like if they keep saying somebody's name over and over and over, it's really annoying. So you want the dialogue to be as if this is really two people speaking to each other, or however many are in the room. You really want it to be as if it's alive and if it's real, because it's gonna seem so much more natural, which for one is not going to be jarring to the reader. If they keep saying the character's name over and over and over and over, it's going to like jar them, because you don't do that in conversations. In fact, most of the time, we never, or well, not never, but there's a lot of the time when you're dealing with family or friends or coworkers, everybody knows each other's names. So when you're making eye contact, you just talk to them. You don't say, hey, Tim, you just like talk to them. You might greet them at the beginning of the conversation or the beginning of the day, but from then on, you don't just keep saying their name over and over and over unless you're calling out to them, right? So you don't want your characters and their dialogue to be doing the opposite. So this kind of goes back to, I think I talked about this in one of the other videos, where if you read your stories out loud, you will notice a lot of things that may have missed you by just reading. Sometimes when we're reading, we kind of just read it and just our brains are processing at a higher speed than if we're speaking. So we're just kind of just like going through it. And especially if we've read it over and over and over and over, because we're editing and we're trying to make sure it sounds good, we're trying to make sure everything works together, we're maybe not reading every word as if it was for, the first time we ever saw it. But if you say it out loud, it will really show you how things sound in a different way. And I think that would be incredibly helpful when you get to dialogue, because, you'll be saying the part and you don't have to act, just say it. And I think you'll catch yourself and be like, if it was me, I wouldn't talk like this. And it's not a character way of speaking. It's not like their personality. You don't want them all to sound like you, but you want it to sound real. One thing that gets really annoying, that people make fun of a lot in movies and TV, and it definitely applies to books, is where, you know, characters will point something out that's just like everybody should know. You know, it's just like common knowledge, but in TVs and movies, they'll like force it to make the characters point something out for the viewer or for the audience. So when it comes to the same thing with your readers, you know, anything that's really important, it may be a little tricky, but try to figure out a way to be able to inform the reader without saying, you know, hey, you remember when that happened 6 years ago to the day, you know, and it was raining outside. You know, like, you don't want to get weird with the recalling of information, even if it happened way before your story even took place. So there's no way for you to tell it. Just try to work with it. The best thing you can do is just try to make it seem natural. You know, try to figure out different ways to inform details and inform of which character is talking, rather than saying their name over and over and over. And just, like I said, if you read it out loud, you're really going to notice a lot of things through the whole process, or the whole editing, which we're going to get into. But anyway, all right, so thank you guys for watching. As always, we are, I believe, day 16 now of the 30-day challenge for me to make a video every day straight for 30 days. So we're just now past the halfway point, and I'm pretty happy with how this community is growing. Facebook is growing, YouTube is growing, and soon we're going to be launching things on our website, an email list, and some other stuff that's coming that's going to be really cool. Thank you guys again. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook, it is Learn to Write Sci-Fi, and on YouTube, it is White Light Media. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.